knock on the doorbell. Ring doorbell. We need to. What's going on?
Do you live here?
Yeah.
You do?
Papa.
I don't believe that.
What?
I don't believe that.
Welcome to Louder, back with another reaction. In yet another disheartening reminder of the racial inequalities that persist in America, a black real estate developer, Mike Jenkins, was racially profiled by a white neighbor, Michelle Bishop, in an affluent Ohio neighborhood. Jenkins, who built the very home he was accused of not belonging to, was confronted while admiring Christmas lights outside his property. This incident is not an isolated case, but part of a long history of systemic racism and racial profiling in America. Let's break down the incident, its historical context, and the wider implications for society. Mike Jenkins was outside his home when Michelle Bishop accused him of following her. Despite calmly stating he lived in the home, Bishop repeatedly expressed disbelief, stating, "I don't believe that." The situation escalated further when Bishop screamed for help, only for her husband to confirm Jenkins was indeed a resident. Jenkins recorded the encounter, which has since gone viral, drawing significant attention and outrage on social media. The neighborhood is one of the most affluent in Ohio, where racial disparities in homeownership are stark. The confrontation echoes the history of black individuals being deemed out of place in predominantly white spaces. Racial profiling is deeply rooted in American history, tracing back to the days of slavery and segregation. After the abolition of slavery, black Americans were often targeted through black codes and Jim Crow laws, which restricted their movement and access to certain areas. Federal housing policies systematically excluded black people from buying homes in affluent neighborhoods, solidifying racial divides in housing. Black Americans are still disproportionately stopped, questioned, and surveilled even in their own neighborhoods. A report from the ACLU highlights that black Americans are 2.5 times more likely than white Americans to be stopped and questioned by police, even in predominantly white neighborhoods they reside in. As of 2022, only 44% of black Americans owned homes compared to 74% of white Americans, U.S. Census Bureau. The median wealth of a white family is 8 times that of a black family, largely due to historical housing discrimination. A Pew Research study found that black residents in predominantly white neighborhoods are 3 times more likely to be profiled or suspected of criminal behavior. These disparities make incidents like Jenkins's not only commonplace but also indicative of larger systemic issues. This case is far from unique. Similar incidents have occurred nationwide, illustrating how racial profiling continues to impact black individuals. Nico Marley, a black man, was questioned by neighbors in Miami while checking on a house he owned. Police were called despite him providing proof of ownership. A white woman in Oakland called the police on black residents having a barbecue in a public park, citing suspicious activity. The Harvard professor was arrested at his own home after a neighbor reported him as a suspicious person trying to break in. Arbery was chased and killed while jogging in a Georgia neighborhood, accused of trespassing. These examples highlight the racial biases that black people face in public and private spaces. The incident with Mike Jenkins sparked intense debate online, with users expressing their outrage. It's exhausting seeing stories like this. We can't even live in peace in our own homes. This is why black wealth building is so important. We need to own spaces and dismantle the idea that we don't belong in them. The neighbor's behavior wasn't just ignorance, it's an example of the privilege to feel entitled to question someone else's existence. Many users also pointed out the psychological toll of such incidents, with one comment reading, "Imagine the trauma of being accused of being an outsider in the home you built." This incident underscores the importance of confronting biases in everyday interactions. The neighbor's behavior reflects a mindset that associates blackness with criminality, an idea perpetuated by decades of systemic racism. Addressing disparities in homeownership and access to wealth-building opportunities is essential to dismantling these prejudices. Organizations like the National Fair Housing Alliance work to combat housing discrimination. Communities must cultivate inclusivity where individuals are not judged based on race but are welcomed as equals. Programs that promote anti-racism education can help foster such environments. Whether it's through public accountability, legal action, or societal pressure, those who racially profile others should face consequences. This helps deter future incidents and highlights the seriousness of the issue. This incident also serves as a reflection of how capitalist systems perpetuate racial divides. Wealth inequality and the commodification of housing disproportionately exclude black communities from upward mobility, reinforcing systemic biases. Affluent neighborhoods, built on the back of exclusionary practices like redlining, remain symbols of privilege that are often inaccessible to black Americans. Moreover, this behavior mirrors Western imperialistic attitudes where historically marginalized groups are deemed outsiders in spaces of power and wealth. Dismantling these systems requires a shift away from profit-driven housing policies and toward community-oriented solutions that prioritize equity and inclusion. The profiling of Mike Jenkins in his own neighborhood is yet another painful reminder of the work that remains to be done. It is not enough to call out racism. We must actively dismantle the systems that enable it. This incident calls for deeper introspection as a society and action toward building a future where everyone can exist without fear, regardless of their race. Let's not allow such incidents to fade into the background, but instead use them as fuel to create lasting change.
So what are you doing?
Rory, come on. Rory, come on.
Hey.
Did someone come here?
That was my wife. Somebody chased her up here. And she had kids.
Who chased her?
She said somebody in a silver truck.
A gray truck, and he came
So
around the corner,
I don't know if you guys have a
I was
reading.
in the street, and so I come up, and I just have my kids, and so I'm like gonna pretend that I'm coming home, and so I pull up and I start walking to your back gate, and he stops here and he goes, "Are you looking for someone?" And I said, "Nope," and then he sat here, and I was like, "I need to get in."
Well, that's my husband. That's why he lives here. Yeah. He lives here. So he came in and he said there's this lady screaming, and I'm like, that's.
She got all worried that some.
Scared the crap out of me.
How?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
How did he scare you
I
though?
had a feel.
I just seen her in the driveway and I was like, are you looking for somebody? Because I was pulling up out
And I
home.
saw someone walking in our driveway too, and I'm like, why is someone walking in our driveway?
Well, I'm
Oh, there
sorry.
we got it. All right, sorry.
What?
I don't.
She said that someone was following her. So you were walking from there?
You came this way, didn't you?
No, I came down this street right here.
Yeah.
And I was riding slow because I'm looking at our Christmas lights.
Well, you just have to understand my point of view. Being by myself with two kids, I just saw a car coming, and so I was like, oh, it scared me, and so I just pulled up here, and I kept thinking, this could be his house. But you didn't say, this is my home. You just said, are you looking? I was like,
I did. When you was on the porch, you asked me, did I live here? I said, yeah.
And you said, no, you don't.
And you said, I don't think you do.
It was obviously you could tell that I was really caught off guard.
Like, I'm pulling in my, it's like I'm pulling in my house. Like, this is not, this neighborhood is probably one of the best neighborhoods in Ohio.
It is.
You don't have to worry about stuff like that.
Well, I'm very sorry. I really hope that you're not upset with me.
Come on, baby, go in the house. Let's go.
You told me that I didn't. You said you didn't think I live here.
It was the way that you were talking. I was so caught off guard. I'm